أصحاب المعالي والسعادة.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. It gives me the pleasure to welcome you all to the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research in a conference on the role of the research centers in supporting public policy organized by the center on the occasion of the 20th anniversary of its establishment. And we start this conference with a welcome remark by Dr. Jamal Salis Swedi, Director General of the ECSSR. I have the honor to deliver it on his behalf. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, Your Excellencies, Your Highnesses, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum, peace be upon you all. It gives me the pleasure to welcome you all and wishing you a very good stay in your second home, the United Arab Emirates, and to convey to you the greetings of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Abu Dhabi Crown Prince, Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, head of the ECSSR, and his best wishes for this conference entitled The Role of Research Centers in Supporting Public Policies, wishing you all the best in your proceedings and objectives, and that the discussions thereof will contribute positively to the examination of scientific research and public policies, especially in the Arab world, which passes through great challenges that require a greater role by the research centers in the Arab world to discuss these matters and to raise awareness of the risks of these challenges and to help the decision makers to deal with these challenges. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, holding this conference coincides with the occasion of the 20th anniversary of the establishment of these ECSSR. During these 2 decades, we have been exerting the best and the greatest faithful efforts to help the decision makers and to shape the strategies that are related to social development, enhancing sustainable and comprehensive development of our nation, centered around man, inspired by the developmental philosophy of the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan. May God rest his soul in peace, saying that the country gives priority of attention to the building of man and citizens in every corner of the country, and that our nationals are the real wealth on this land. And this is the vision that created the United Arab Emirates pioneering developmental project under the leadership of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the President of the UAE. The Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research has been aware since its inception of the value of scientific research in supporting public policies, and therefore we worked on different axes that contributed to the main objective, that is to put science in the service of development. One of these topics is to prepare scientific research and studies on issues that are concerning the United Arab Emirates and the Arab region and the world at large. This will help the decision makers to deal effectively with these issues. The second topic is to prepare the researchers, the UAE researchers, that would effectively participate in the process of development and the enhancement of critical thinking and scientific thinking in dealing with national issues. And the center managed to graduate a large number of UAE researchers working in the different institutions and holding different leading positions. The third topic, or the third axis, is to open a window to the world by translating books and international research studies, hosting the experts and thinkers and philosophers from all over the world in our own activities, holding conferences, seminars and lectures. And the fourth axis is the continuous cooperation with the international institutions and the national institutions that are mainly concerned with these issues putting all our own organizational and activities at their own disposal in order to enhance the service of our own national interests and national security. And the fifth axis is to enhance the awareness of security in the Arab world, because shaping the future is one of the missions of our own research center. And the sixth axis is to adopt the highest levels and standards of quality and innovation at the research or the administrative levels. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, I cannot present a full review of the achievements of our center within the last 20 years, especially in supporting the public policies, as you may also see the harvest of all these achievements in the book entitled 20 Years of Excellence. But on this occasion, I can refer to some of the indicators, essential indicators, including, for example, that we have published more than 1,000 publications in both Arabic and English, and organized hundreds of conferences, seminars, and lectures, specialized lectures, and we have hosted scores of international outstanding speakers who spoke from this forum, from this podium, about different subjects, and in recognition of its own role and its own reputation and reliability. And the different events were attended by distinguished experts, intellectuals from all over the world. The center had signed scores of agreements with international and Arab strategic studies centers, and in addition to regional and international organizations. And we have held different workshops and training courses for media people and researchers from different countries of the world. And there are other indicators. Due to shortage of time, I cannot mention them all. Your Highnesses, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, and in order to give the attribute to those who originated this, the center wouldn't have been able to do these excellent achievements had it not been led by a wise leadership that knows the value of the strategic studies centers, and encouraging these centers, and the unlimited support presented by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Abu Dhabi Crown Prince, the Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and Chairman or President of the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research, had its own deep influence on the successes of our own center in the last 20 years. And in the light of this support, the center will move forward for more excellent achievements in the foreseeable future. I pray to Allah to help us all to serve our own nations and countries. I wish you full success in your own deliberations and work. Thank you very much indeed.
والآن مع الكلمات الرئيسية للمؤتمر.
We shall start with our conference. We have Dr. Yahya bin Mahmoud Zain al-Din bin Junaid, Secretary General of the King Faisal Center for Islamic Studies at the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Your Excellency, you have the floor. In the name of God Almighty, the most gracious, the most merciful, may the peace of God be upon you all. The former address was an internal vision, and my address is an external vision, which might speak of what has been said already, but this is the perspective of someone outside of the center. It's a neutral perspective. This center, ECSSR, is celebrating 20 years on its inception. We are gathering here to celebrate this success and the scientific abundance which it offered and which it got on the Arabic and international levels. I would like to give my appreciation to the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, the President of the ECSSR, and to Director General Dr. Jamal Suwaidi. I would like to express my congratulations on behalf of His Excellency Excellency Prince Turki Al Faisal bin Abdul Aziz, the President and Chairman of the Board of Directors of King Faisal Center for Islamic Studies. This center has achieved its success and through the conferences, workshops that it offered, and most importantly, the strategic studies, the specialized strategic studies for the service of this country and the GCC in general in the regional and international framework emanating from scientific criteria aimed at linking certain events, political, economic and societal events in the UAE and the GCC countries, and to follow up the international relations, its interferences and its repercussions on the region. What really attracts our attention, its care with giving the researchers in the UAE and deepening their understanding of the issues of research through very careful studies and in a very good step to really care for the contributions of this center. We have given it the responsibility of evaluating the Arab scientific research centers and to put it in a hierarchy and to evaluate the International Scientific Research Center and put it in the ranks that it deserves. It's a very intensive work and it is filled with instigation and good competition. This center has worked on excellence. It has prepared a very vital mechanism to follow up on its work and to work hand in hand with certain criteria and accurate criteria. This management is called the institutional excellence management. It is very rare in other research centers, whether Arabic research centers or worldwide research centers. It is a very sincere congratulations for a center that deserves this congratulations because it is a role model. It is caring and to be a model in supporting scientific research, which goes hand in hand with modern life and which gives beneficial products in planning and real interaction to find the truth in the framework of research. I would like to suggest two suggestions. First of all, concerning the establishment of a gathering for Arab scientific research centers, which aims at documenting the cooperation between these centers and provide the elements of communication which might level up in its work regionally and worldwide. Let us start with the GCC research centers with establishing a database which has been established and others under establishment. The second motive is to work on really motivating the universities in the GCC to establish specialized regional studies centers such as Chinese studies, Asian studies, Southwestern studies, Russian studies, American studies, and minorities studies and African studies, as well as to motivate it to take care of languages such as Chinese, Japanese, Russian, Urdu, Turkish, Persian, Indian, and other European languages, English and French. This is of vital importance that universities should really work on in the service of scientific work in this region. Through this suggestion, if implemented in a scientific manner, we will be able to establish distinguished researchers in regional studies and with mastering its languages, which might take us out of this framework when it comes to sources written in English and in in French, and to extract our research visions in the issues of the contemporary world to really link it to neutrality. And I would like to really clarify that our center has been really supportive of this suggestion. It has established 10 years ago the Chinese Studies program and the Western Studies unit, and months ago Iranian unit studies. And to go forward with these suggested specialized studies, we need to really expand the universities to establish specialized departments regarding this work, and without that it would be very difficult to take this decision and implement it widely. It is a very good suggestion based on an interaction between research centers and universities alike. At the end, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks for this distinguished center for inviting me to participate in this conference, and thank you all for your kind attention. May the peace of God be upon you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Dr. Yahya bin Mahmoud Zainuddin. Now it gives me the pleasure to invite Mr. Stephen Bennett, Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at the Brookings Institution from the United States of America. Please proceed. The floor is yours, sir.
Dignitaries, colleagues, excellencies, highnesses, it is a great honor to be here today to celebrate 20 years of outstanding work by the Emirates Center for Strategic Studies and Research. My name is Stephen Bennett. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Vice President of the Brookings Institution, and I send the personal regards from the Brookings President, Strobe Talbot, who regrets that he's not able to be here with you today. But he is definitely with you in spirit, as are many of my colleagues from our Middle East Studies Center, including Martin Indyk. I will speak about the importance of think tanks in general, but at this 20th anniversary of ECSSR, I feel I should pause for at least a moment on this institution in particular. Think tanks have a key role to play in the Gulf and in the wider region, contributing to government efforts to tackle important issues such as economic growth, energy security, institutional capacity, and political turmoil in the region. The political, security, and economic integration agenda of the GCC, for example, presents a real opportunity. Ideas like a Gulf Common Market, a Gulf Monetary Union, and railway are fleshed out by the experts at ECSSR and other Gulf state think tanks. ECSSR has been a standout in the region, contributing to new solutions and bringing knowledge and expertise to help GCC governments foster regional trade and economic development and provide expert analysis for global policymaking. Dr. Al-Suwaidi and his colleagues have been supporting Emirati decision makers for 20 years with innovative research in nearly all areas of public policy. ECSSR is joined by a new Delma Center and other institutions in the Arab world, such as the Arab Planning Institute in Kuwait, Deseret in Bahrain, and the Brookings Doha Center in Qatar. But now a few words about the Director General himself. Dr. Al-Suwaidi has been a prominent figure in the Emirates and around the region. His recent book, Prospects for the American Age, is required reading for American scholars, policymakers, and practitioners looking to work in or study the region. Brookings has been delighted to have a long-standing relationship with the center and to host Dr. Al-Suwaidi and his colleagues in Washington and to collaborate on projects like the 2013 Future of Warfare edited volume. And now some brief words on think tanks in general. According to a 2013 report by the Think Tanks and Civil Society Project, there are nearly 7,000 think tanks worldwide, and that number is growing. I know that ECSSR has worked directly with Dr. Jim McGann and has helped introduce him and his colleagues to regional think tanks. Here in the Middle East and North Africa, there are almost 500 think tanks. The Emirates Center features prominently in the rankings of the Think Tanks and Civil Society Project and among think tanks in the region. So what do all these 7,000 think tanks do, and why do they do it? I can only speak definitively about one think tank, the Brookings Institution, where I work, but my expertise in this sector allows me to share some general observations. The word think tank, or the words think tank, are ill-defined. They can be ideological, issue-specific, multidisciplinary, related to a government, a party, a university, a multilateral, even a corporation, but they're all think tanks. They all can call themselves think tanks. It's so broad a definition that it begets the question that is there even a think tank sector? In some ways, no. Advocacy organizations that put out one research paper can call themselves a think tank. Research organizations with 100 years of scholarship or 20 years of scholarship can call themselves the same things. But in some important ways, true think tanks share some common virtues. Almost all of them are dedicated to the proposition of good governance. They may define this differently, and they may use vastly different tactics, but the goal remains the same: to make better policies and to promote better and more effective government. This was the goal of Robert S. Brookings when he founded the Brookings Institution nearly 100 years ago. He was a conservative businessman from the Midwest who came to the East Coast, called by a liberal president, to help the U.S. private sector scale up for World War I. And what he saw when he entered government was appalling. Government workers, no matter how brilliant or hardworking they were in a poor position to make decisions based on dispassionate and fact-based research. He invented the organizations that ultimately became the Brookings Institution to provide independent analysis and research to the government and to train the federal government workforce. At the same time, other organizations were emerging, and their benefactors had the same observations. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, the Council on Foreign Relations, Chatham House, all emerged in this area. Over the years, the numbers grew, leading to a broad chorus of think tank voices in the United States and around the world. They all share the core of the thesis of Robert S. Brookings, that governments need external research. While not always harmonious, this chorus of voices, even in their disagreements, are extraordinarily helpful. Most healthy government bodies, local, state, regional, national, multinational, and multilateral, in most types of government, democracies, monarchies, Chinese-style government, communist states, and in pretty much every other form of government, all require solid analysis to guide decision-making. They are therefore hungry for the output from think tanks. In our increasingly interconnected world, where the news cycle has gone from fast to speed of light fast, from 24 hours to 140 characters, policymakers and opinion leaders need think tanks more than ever. There's a suspicion that by participating in this dizzying generation of information, think tanks are part of the problem, that they add to the confusion and to the cacophony that bombards policymakers. But nothing could be farther from the truth. Think tanks like Brookings, like ECSSR, and the many who are represented here today are very much part of the solution, or rather part of the solutions to the issues of good government. Think tanks are generating some outstanding long-form reports, books, and monographs. But think tanks are increasingly utilizing the tools of modern communications as well. In my think tank, which is nearly 100 years old, the transition from writing books to writing blogs to writing tweets has been culturally difficult for some. But a think tank is only as good as the impact its scholars are able to achieve with their research. Yet impact, otherwise known as effectiveness, is one of the hardest things for a think tank to quantify. Organizations that are in the business of tackling and quantifying tough government challenges they strangely struggle to quantify their own accomplishments. This is by and large because think tank scholars and managers are honest in their assessment of how very difficult it is to claim credit for any particular policy achievement. In fact, there are only a handful of direct claims, credit claims, that any individual think tank can honestly make, given how hard it is to formulate and enact policy. But taken as a whole, most of the policy making in most of the countries on earth are now touched by the work of think tanks. Put otherwise, the fingerprints of think tank scholars can be found on most major policy interventions in most countries around the world, and that is a tremendous accomplishment. Either the idea was generated by a scholar, the agenda was set by their work, the debate shaped by their analysis, or the outcome was crafted by their recommendations. Regardless of where they hit on this policy stream, think tanks are present, and the think tank interventions are present in a huge number of policies, both big and small. That is true in the United States, and it is true here in the United Arab Emirates. ECSSR has played an immensely important role in the Emirates, in the GCC, and in the world. Their research has touched this policy stream in more ways and in more instances than one can quantify, or at least one can quantify in the time that I was allotted for this speech. So on behalf of the Brookings Institution, here in the Gulf, in India, in China, and in Washington, D.C., where our main office is located, and indeed on behalf of many of our think tank colleagues world over, I congratulate ECSSR on 20 years of excellence and look forward to the next 20 years of ECSSR research. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Stephen Bennett. And now we shall take a break, a 10-minute break, and then we shall start our first session, the importance of research center in supporting public policy. Thank you.